towards the end of the week, there was some nice little results. You say follow what you've been learning, use what you've been learning,
Mm-hmm.
and you will see results.
Mm-hmm.
So towards the end of the week, it happened, and I said, I should do this more often. I should really just do this more often. And it was around the topic of doubt. Do
Mm-hmm.
not doubt. Just the thought comes, act on the thought. Check it, act on it, and do not doubt. Because once you stop to doubt, then I had also highlighted the to keep yourself open, to keep yourself open in a space where you can receive, I want to use the word instructions, you could receive guidance from within. And once it happens, do not doubt. Otherwise, you can change the result. And so, towards the end of the week, I had some of that, and it was really good. Might I add, I have continued my morning walks. Although the new
Is
challenge I'm seeing you all put out there is not
you turn your mic off. Oh, okay, sorry.
Yes, I did.
Nicole, are you there?
Yes, I am.
How was your week?
Um, it was good, I believe. I didn't really pay too much attention to it. I guess I just went with the flow per se and did what I had to do. So, yeah.
I think sometimes the week goes by so quickly. You Once you get caught up in just doing the daily things, it just goes by really quickly. For me, it's just about Saturday that you really have time to sit and say, okay, this day doesn't look like the other days. So what else can you look? But I also try to get some rest in this weekend because I realized that I was pushing myself, but I was not. You're having in mind that you're doing so much and you're going, and you're really going nowhere. You're pedaling, but you're on a stationary bike. So I I took things a little easier this weekend. I knew what had to be done by Monday, and I identified where I wanted to go by Monday, and then I just put that list and I said, okay, you belong to Monday. So it was easier to just take some breaks. And because what I find happening now is when I sit for too long, I find my back is paining me a lot. So I do get up from the desk and go take some breaks, go outside, do something else, stand up, walk a little bit. So, but sometimes it's difficult to remember the week unless something really significant happened.
I completely understand. And guys, this is me telling my camera offices because my allergies are not cooperating right now. And then I'm having a bit of a sneeze fest. So, good evening, Mr. SGL. Are you there? Hello? All right. So, I'm not sure if something is probably happening with his mic because it is on, but we are not hearing anything. Hello? I am seeing your mic on, but I'm not sure why we are not hearing what is happening. Today we on social media we asked a question, and the question was, which small area can you focus on decluttering this week? Have you thought about it? No one thought about it? A drawer, a desk.
I think it will have to be my desk here because for some reason, moving in and out quickly, some things just get put on the desk and then something else gets put. So I think I could focus on, like, I don't think I will focus on clearing up that desk because when you have to work on it, it's really confusing. So I find myself moving away and using other spaces to work. Plus, I may rearrange the whole thing because working next to the window is much nicer than working where the desk is. So I have to figure out how to get some of that breeze to flow across to that desk there rather than so. But I'll work on the desk. Desk. Let me write that down.
Anyone else? What is one area you are focused on working on this week? Focus on decluttering this week. It could be something small. So every everyone is functioning from a clear space then, yes? I hope so. I really, really hope so. Anastasia, good evening, and how are you?
I many things at this moment.
All right. That is a very, very interesting answer. And we asked a question today about which small area can you focus on decluttering this week. It could be a desk, it could be a corner of your room, it could be a drawer.
I think I need to declutter my mind this week.
Okay. And do you know how to go about doing it?
I think so.
Okay.
I think I am not sure. I think so.
Okay. So there are lots of different ways that you can actually do it. Um, One of them is, of course, you could use breathing. So if you say in every hour, I am taking a minute, which is 60 seconds, to pause whatever I am doing and focus on my breath. You could do that. And you see, in doing that, what happens is that you allow your mind to stop in each moment. And another thing I know that we were learning last week that is really, really important and we overlook a lot. And even to declutter your mind, what really helps is getting rest. That really, really, really helps. So even you might have to do whatever, you might have to cook, you might have to wash, you might have to clean. But if in this moment your body's saying, listen, I am feeling tired and we need to sleep, then you should really look at it. You know? Or I don't know if you're living close to a beach or something in nature that you enjoy. You could also engage in that. And also, going outside, walking barefoot. I know a lot of people think it is real, woo woo, but it really, really helps. And within that, you tend to get a lot of clarity because what you're doing, you're slowing everything down. And you know in the stillness, that is when the answers come. Or even if you say today, I'm taking a break from talking to people or taking a break from social media. And you just stay silent for a little while. So you have a few options now that you could certainly work with. So
Okay, thank you.
you could choose whichever one works best for you.
Anastasia, I would say that is exactly what I said when I saw it was posted today. Your response was exactly what I said today. declutter my mind. So thanks for raising that so I could get some ideas myself.
You have a lot, you have some options, you have some options. Or even every time a negative thought enters your mind, you remember the emotion lasts 60 to 90 seconds. But what we tend to do is regurgitate it and re-trigger all the feelings and everything, and we hold on to it for too long. So sometimes when the negative enters, you need to stop it immediately. Sing a song, sing a happy song, recite a poem, something to stop the momentum. Because once you continue with it, remember the momentum is continuing as well. And a lot of times it's continuing unconsciously to you and it's affecting a lot of other things that you are totally unaware of at the time. So even within that, you have another opportunity. And guys, remember the purpose of a challenge. What is the purpose of a challenge? The purpose of a challenge is to get you to where you need to be. The purpose of a challenge is to get you to where you need to be. So take the opportunity to practice. Because the things that you are asking for, they are on the other side of overcoming the challenge that you're currently experiencing. Because you are being called to be more. And sometimes we're being called to be more and we want to stay the same. So that is when the challenges come to make you uncomfortable so that you can walk into it, walk towards it. It is not that, the world is against you and all these negative things are happening and you're wondering why. But remember, at the end of the day, everything has purpose. And in order to move you into the space that you need to be, to get the things that you have been asking for, that is when the challenges would come. So if you see it like that, then you would actually embrace it instead of really trying to resist whatever you're experiencing now in life. Because coming out of it, you would be a much stronger, different, more peaceful person. And the things that would be bothering you in 2026 will not even be relevant in 2027. Because we all experience and we all overcome. And that is why tonight's topic is important, because fueling the mind really powers the body. Because for everyone here, sometimes you're going through certain things in life, and once your mind cluttered and confused and all these different things, then what tend to happen? You are always tired. Your body always tired. You are always drained. You could have how much sleep, it makes absolutely no difference. And we have all, I am sure that we have all experienced these different situations, circumstances, but even within it and looking back, and sometimes when you're in the new situation, you just forget everything that you used prior to get yourself out of it. You always tend to forget until somebody reminds you, remember when, and then you say, that is true. And if I overcame that, I could certainly overcome this as well. But then even thinking within yourself and because I know sometimes things happen and it really knock you off. It really knocks you off the bike and you're thinking you really have to restart from zero. You have to start over from scratch. But when you look at it, you're really never starting over from scratch, because you have had prior experiences and you now know how to deal with certain things. But from experiencing the things that you have, how do you think that you can move yourself forward now, along with the new wisdom that you have? You're certainly in a better position to move yourself forward, but sometimes you're so focused on what the issue is and what the problem is instead of focusing on asking what is a solution for this, that the problem keeps growing. So that the solution is it's not even in your review mirror. It's not at the side. You can't even find the solution because you're so consumed. And even as we discussed earlier, in terms of pausing and breathing, that is really important and necessary because it gives you the opportunity to let the solutions flow. And even a solution flowed for me. I was sleeping and I got up. I think it was 4 o'clock. I don't know why. And then, the thought came because we are doing some work in Canva and there's a lot of different things. And the thought came, can you mail merge in Canva like you mail merge in Word? And when I researched it, you can mail merge in Canva like you mail merge in Word. And then I was like, okay. So then having to sit down to do, certain things and you're thinking that you have to do it one by one, that is no longer part of my journey. But again, you have to slow down to allow the solutions to come, because if you don't, you will just keep focused on the problem, and the problem grows, and the problem goes and brings all the family, friends, cousins, everybody. And now you have so much more to deal with, and then your mind already feeling heavy, and now your body is affected because you're always tired. And then within all of that, when you stay in that space for too long, you know what comes after. That is when the disease starts to seep in. And it is within these small little day-to-day activities that we tend to get ourselves stuck. And a lot of times we don't know how to get ourselves unstuck. And even another thing that we do is when the solution presents itself, we say, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. I don't want to have that conversation. I'm not calling that person because I didn't do anything wrong and it was them. And remember, the solution is the solution, because what we're trying to do is control the outcome, but you never really know how the outcome going to be. And a lot of the things that you're running from, you should really be running to, because at the other end of that is the solution that you have been always asking for. But in order to experience it, you have to face it. And remember, you're facing it now. You have more wisdom. You have the tools. So then why run from it? And you see, you're constantly putting your mind in this loop and this space. And I know even Nicola, from the psychological perspective, it is a very, very difficult thing to break. Because whenever you do experience difficulty, what you tend to do is go back to whatever that pattern was. So then again, you're stuck. But even within the midst of whatever challenges that you are experiencing, how can you now improve and adapt to really face and overcome the challenge with the wisdom that you currently have? Remember that you have a toolbox, but when you're in the situation, when you're experiencing whatever the experience is, you tend to forget. But how can you face this now to move yourself forward?
I think the first thing is like we have to be mindful and be present. Um, as I know, like for me, but you start off with these small things. You don't necessarily have to say, okay, I need to move this mountain from where it is to another place. So you start off with like small things and then just be, because a lot of times we take these small things for granted and it just, oh, it just happened. It just happened. But now that you know what you need to start to be mindful and acknowledge these small wins. Because sometimes, even for me, certain things happen and I'm like, what? Really? Wow. And when you start to see and acknowledge the small wins, and you kind of get yourself into a habit and be really mindful and present of kind of like what you did. It could just be like, you didn't really think about it because you want to just be and let it flow. And I feel like that's one of the things that we have to practice a lot, at least me, is allowing things to be. and not trying to do it to get the outcome. And from, like I said, when you start to realize and acknowledge these small wins, and you're like, oh, I was thinking about this and look, this happened. I was thinking about this and look, this happened. Then you start to build on it. Because even for me, like when I get myself in certain situations, it's like an automatic recall, just like your mind was going back to the default. Now something else is coming and being the default. And, because it's like, I was thinking about something this morning. It's like, Lisa, why are you going into that, poor mindset, or why are you going into this, or why so you just start reprogramming your mind to not think the way you used to think or respond the way you used to respond. So it's just really being mindful and being present and being consistent.
Yes, because even for me recently, in terms of sometimes you're standing by the kitchen. You see, when you're standing in the kitchen trying to wash rice or you're doing something monotonous, the thoughts that enter, you really have to kind of reel them in. Because if you don't, again, you will go down the rabbit hole. And you would recognize that your thoughts are affecting your mood. Because your mental clarity and physical energy works together. Because if one not working, the other one will be affected. And sometimes we tend to stay in this space for so long. And you see now, with the wisdom that you're getting, of course, the saying that says, once you know, you will be treated as though you know. And you will. So you see the lessons coming. And then, whereas you could have stayed in that space for a longer period, you're realizing now that the consequences coming quick and fast and very hard. And it is also life guiding you out of that space as well. Because you really have to be mindful to get yourself back to the present moment. Every single opportunity, get yourself back to the present moment. You really, really have to. And another thing that you can do is move. If you're sitting down and you find that you're in this space or you're in your bedroom or wherever it is, and you're thinking a lot of things that are not even required, go into another space, go into the yard. I went into the yard again on Saturday, and while focusing, I was able to finally identify the root of all the vines to cut them down and stuff. And looking at it, you recognize how much things could get out of hand when you're not paying attention. And when your awareness not there and you're focused on all the distractions. Things things grow that shouldn't have even grown. Things starting to overcome all the trees, some of them starting to die. We notice that now some trees have termites. And again, once you're not present, it have so many things that become so overwhelming because you're not in the present moment, you're not focused on the present moment. And remember, life is continuing, whether we like it or we don't like it. And then you recognize even so that this is how a lot of time we unknowingly introduce things into our lives, and we unknowingly build things that we really didn't mean to build because we were not paying attention. So a lot of things grow that wasn't supposed to grow. A lot of things end up killing things that were supposed to stay there. All because we are distracted, and we are easily distracted. And these vines, because now, of course, you're so focused that you're able to identify them. Because before, a lot of them, they're looking like branches, so you're not paying attention. So that is why every month that I go back, I say, where these things just keep coming from, and like the multiplying. And again, because we're learning during the week, what is in your awareness is where the light is shining. So if you are not shining that light there, trust me, you think nothing is growing in that corner, but something is certainly growing in that corner. something that you do not want to grow because it is affecting everything else, but because your awareness is not there, you're totally unaware. And then sometimes what happens is that everything hits you all at once and you're wondering, but how did this happen? And I don't understand. And you are physically in the space, but are you present in the space? You're physically living life, but are you presently living life? Are you intentional? Are you clear while living life? Like, what is your intention? Even if you ask yourself, what is your intention for this week? What is your focus? If you recognize that you're in a particular space, and I know a lot of times Nicola give us a lot of tools, how do you get yourself out of there so that things don't end up affecting your body and affecting everything else? How do you get yourself out of there? Because remember, if your mind is in a rut, everything else around you will also start to rot, because life is continuing on with or without you. Because you think that, well, I'm just here in this space, and sometimes you blink and months might pass, sometimes a year might pass. And then when you finally start to pay attention, you're recognizing how far back you really set yourself, because you are not affecting anybody else but you. You are really, really not affecting anybody else but you. And that's why so often we ask the question, what are you building? What are you currently building? Are you building something that you're going to enjoy by next year? Or are you continuing to build on sand? Like, what are you building? And then when you don't see the results, you keep asking yourself why. But these are the little things that we don't pay attention to. We leave it to grow, we leave it to run, and then it becomes out of hand and we can't manage it anymore. And then again, we end up in certain spaces and places that we don't want to be. And that is why you end up affecting your body, because you're unable to manage your mind. I know I asked the question and Lisa said what she did, but even for the others, how do you get yourself out of spaces that you have been in formerly, and with using the wisdom that you have today? How can you utilize it to get yourself? So think of this as like a practical, how do you get yourself out of that space?
Sometimes I try to move around and to go to another location. If I'm inside, I may go outside. But just as you said, when you're washing wares or something that's monotonous, the thoughts can still go with you. So sometimes I find that I may go outside and I may start dealing with the plants or the weeds, but even in that moment, still the thoughts have come along. So now I have to consciously change the thought, challenge the thought. If it's something that is forming based on, if I see that I'm not perhaps getting ahead or there's something, then I try to challenge the thought with where's the evidence? Where's the evidence? Show me the. So we have like a conversation, me, myself, and I, the whole group. And so with a little bit of that, after a minute or so, you will find that I'm able to come to a resolution. If I recognize it's something that I'm trying to run away from, then I have to sit with it for a little bit and ask, well, what is the worst thing that can happen to you in your mind if you went in the direction that you're trying to flee from? And is it something that you want? Is it something you do not want? What does it take to get either clarity or get to where you want to go. And with that little mental gymnastics, I find that I'm able to come out of the darkening space that I was going into. And but what I have to work on now is when you come out of there, to prevent myself from, I wouldn't want to say laughing at myself, but kind of talking on yourself still like you should have known better. You can do better. You should know better. So it's like dealing with one thing and then having to deal with something else. But I go back to my walks in the morning. I really, really, really enjoy that. So I could actually take my mind back to those moments, the sunshine, the breeze, the feel of it on your skin, and then come out of anything else. You never have to go and stay there for a good while, remembering the walks and the exercise and how my body was feeling and so forth. And of course, I'm starting to see some results. I'm starting to see some results in the physical. So, it's a good space to go to. But those are some of the things that I try. Those
But
are some of the
even
things that I use.
even as you said, you get yourself during the exercise and after to keep yourself in that space, what you could do. And for so many of us, we don't focus on what we want. Only when we back against the wall, we focus on what we want because you need it in that moment. So even when you're in that space and you find that your mind might be trying to regress back to whatever it is, remember what you want, how you want it to feel, what you want it to look like. Like immerse yourself in the feeling. And that is the opportunity again to practice. So that could now become your default setting. Just create it because again, remember we are creators. And for those of us, who own during the week and you have your 12 things on your list that you want, focus there. Reread it. So take the opportunity to really focus there. Because when you're really sitting down and you think about it, we're really not making no sense to me. Imagine I taking all my time to focus on all the things that you don't like and whatever you experience in the past and you keep rehashing them things when you could simply focus on what you want. What do you want? And you could focus there instead and then start to build. And even as you start to focus there, remember, the thoughts would come to support it, the opportunities would come to support it. But yet we so consumed a lot of times with the things that we experience that were not the best. And then sometimes those things were just there to move you forward. And we tend to hold on to it for longer that it needs to be hold on to. You really don't need to hold on to it for so long. And imagine where we would be today if we had maintained focus on the things we wanted to enjoy and experience, to build and create, instead of the things we experienced in the past that we did not enjoy. Imagine where we would be. And even just as Catherine was explaining, another way to really ensure that you are focused in the present moment is exercise. Because when we are exercising on Tuesday and Thursday, the only thing I am focused on is the time counting back down to zero. I am not focused on anything else because your legs wobbling to fall, or the weights getting too heavy, or something. So really exercise really, really does help. Because when you're exercising, you are not, well, if you're exercising with a trainer and she is really trying to, you're doing different circuits and stuff, your mind is nowhere else than the countdown. So also exercise is really something that you could also utilize. It could be a simple walk. Sometimes you don't even have to go out in your yard if you have enough space in your house. Because I have an aunt, she does, I think, 30 minutes three 30-minute sets throughout the day, just walking around. Well, she have a big kitchen counter, just walking around it with weights on her feet. So utilize the space that you already have. Sometimes you're thinking you have to go to the gym or you have to know you don't. You could utilize what you currently have. And just as Catherine has been doing also, you're going outside in the neighborhood and taking a walk because it really does help. It really, really does help. And that is why you see wellness really does help. And for those of us who are getting the instructions to eat less or to stop eating certain things and you are still eating it, like my niece was telling me, because she is lactose intolerant, but she loves ice cream. And what her plan was to continue eating it so her body would accept it. But her body said, no, no, we're not accepting this at all. And she has convinced herself of that, but it is not working. So you see in instances like that, when things are not working, ask a question, see what comes. Because again, you're only working against you. You're not working against anybody else. You're really affecting your world in the long run. So the things that are currently not working best as it relates to your wellness and well-being, take another look at it. Don't continue trying to do it like my niece and hoping for a particular result, and the result is the same. And now she said it's just getting worse. So I don't know what her choice will be, but I hope that she would do what needs to be done and just leave the ice cream and stuff alone. And even, there are ways to improve and strengthen your cognitive and physical resilience. And it starts with focus. How well is your focus? If you were to ask yourself that question, how well is your focus? How well would you say your focus is? Anastasia, are you there?
Yes, I am.
How well is your focus?
Yeah, I find, yeah, good enough, good enough. I have my little distractions I just get, but I could put myself back on track
Okay,
quick enough.
okay, okay.
Yeah.
That is very, very important. And Patricia, are you there? Okay.
Yes.
How well would you say your focus is?
Well, it all depends on what I'm thinking about. If it's something that is dear to my heart, I'll be deeply focused. There are some things that you like to think about
Mm-hmm.
and you like to do. So you could focus. Like I like to sew. So focus. If I go to sew, I could focus for a whole day on making something. I like
Mm-hmm.
to make things.
Okay.
Um, I like plants too. So if I go to the garden, I could spend the whole day without eating and like forget myself until late in the evening and come inside. Then come inside. So it all depends on what I'm doing.
Okay.
If it's something I'm really interested in and really like,
Okay.
focus very deep.
While I understand what you're saying, just remember with whatever you're doing, your focus should kind of remain the same. Because even for me, I don't care to go out in the yard, but I had to go to make sure the vines don't kill the trees. And I have all the ants bites all over me to prove. Because again, if your focus not there, things are going to start to grow that you do not want to have to deal with because it was a lot to get it under control. So even if it is something that you do not enjoy, like I did not necessarily enjoy the yard work, but I did get assistance because Daniel came and Daddy was there as well. But sometimes we really have to focus to ensure that we could move ourselves forward into whatever space we need to be in. So that now what happens is that, remember, this is now will now become part of your expansion. So whereas you were unaware of it, well, I know for a lot of you all in here, you're all accustomed with the yard and plants, and no, I am not at all, at all, at all. So now, like, in passing, your awareness to certain things grows. So now I'm able to, okay, we had to sort out them termites because I've seen some termites in the trees and stuff and all of that. So even within the focus, sometimes you're really not interested or you really don't want to, but sometimes you really have to because it is part of your expansion. So even within it, even if it is something that you do not enjoy, remember your focus still has to really be the same. Because even with me, I recognize that I was also overlooking a lot of things. And even now, when I go outside, you could easily recognize, okay, that is a vine, that is not a branch, take it down. And even within life, you could easily recognize, okay, this is a distraction. This is not what I am focusing on right now. Let me revert back to where I really need to focus. Because where I was looking at, that is a distraction. That is not where I'm focused on right now. And for the generation before me, if you all are doing something and the phone rings, you all are convinced that you must answer this phone. My mother used to do the same thing. I do not know why. But you can't finish what you are doing and call the person back. Because usually you answer the phone, you get distracted, you leave whatever you are doing undone, and then you move on to the next thing. And that is how easily distraction happens. And again, you're just setting yourself back. You keep setting yourself back. And sometimes it's years you're setting yourself back for. It's not just days or weeks. You're setting yourself back years. And remember, if everything laid out in a particular sequence for you, and you keep dipping in and out, in and out, in and out of the sequence, then what results would you really get? Or even if you have a plant and you keep watering it like 2 minutes every time you keep watering it 2 minutes before it dies, will the plant really be strong enough to produce any fruit? No, and then we talk the plant like if it's the plant. But when really you really wasn't paying attention because your focus was really elsewhere. And even another thing that happens when you are focused on the distractions, what happens? You are tired all the time. Because everything is left undone. Everything is at 50%, some things at 35%, and then you keep looking around and you're wondering how you can't get yourself out of this loop. Because you don't stay focused enough to complete anything in its entirety. Because you always jump to whatever the next thing is. So that is why I asked the question as it relates to how well is your focus? Apart from it being something or an experience or something that you really enjoy, how well is your focus? And there is a way to determine how well is your focus, because if you just sit wherever you are and you look around, you would be able to see how well your focus is. Just look around you, because surrounding you is all the things that you say that you're going to do. And if you're not disciplined enough to get it done, then you would recognize that your focus really is not there. And let me tell you, the distractions will always be there. But the opportunities that are related to your focus will not. Because the opportunities, they go, and sometimes some of them never return. So that is why it is really, really important that you fuel your mind with what is required, what is necessary, and really start to look at what is unnecessary and get rid of it. Because you are only affecting you, you are only keeping yourself back from everything you would like to experience. Wouldn't you all like to be free? and freely experience everything that you would like to enjoy. But it comes from discipline and focus. It does not come from, a lot of times we expect the miracle. We are always expecting miracles. But you see, life requires effort. But when you work together with life, there is less effort. But when you go against whatever the flow is, that is where the more effort is required. And because sometimes we're so used to going against the flow, or we can't even recognize where the flow is, we tend to think that things are hard. But it is only hard because your attention is not in the present moment, your awareness is not in the present moment, because your focus is not there. And in doing so, when the train passes or the bus leaves you, now you have to find your own way. You might have to run to the next destination. You might have to ride to the next destination. Whereas the opportunity was there for you to accept, but you were not there to receive it. And in doing so, now things are offset for the next 9 months. And you keep asking yourself, why? And remember, everything lies within your daily activities. So, what are you doing daily to support fuel in your mind? What are you doing daily? It is in these simple daily things. When you get up in the morning, are you still reaching for your phone to check to see what is happening with Iran and America and everybody else? Or are you sitting up, taking a few deep breaths, and stating what is your intention for today? Just as Catherine said, next on my list, I really want to clear this office space, because sometimes, yes, when you're moving too fast, things get all over the place and it does affect your clarity. Because if you are functioning in a disorganized or cluttered space, it does affect your clarity. It really, really does. So, and again, sometimes you look at the mountain and you're thinking that you have to do all these things. It is just one small step. And you never know where that one small step would lead you to. It is just one small step. So, what is your one small step for the rest of the week? Ask yourself that question when you get up. Or what is my one small step for today? Is it to exercise? Is it to drink more water? Is it to eat a little bit healthier? Is it to declutter your mind, Anastasia? When you get up in the morning, you ask yourself, what is the next step? Or Annalisa, in assisting me in decluttering my mind. And you ask yourself the question, what is the next step? And then see what comes. After you are finished with that, you ask again, what is the next step now in this moment? And let me tell you, all these steps are listed out when you ask. But a lot of times we tend to go based on whatever the previous pattern was, end up in issues, and then we get frustrated with life. But if you are not asking questions, if you are not intentional, then what are you building? Are you continuing to build what is not working for you, or would you like to construct something new and solid and firm? And all of that comes with creating a daily rhythm that supports your focus, your energy, and your progress. If you know that before you go to sleep, you scroll, then you end up online for 3 hours, is that supporting your progress? It is not. You get up in the morning, you're foggy, you're tired. That did not fuel your mind. If you know that you like to eat flour and flour is affecting you now and you're still eating it just because, it will make you feel sluggish as well. That also affects your mind. If you are trying to convince yourself to make something work like my niece, that will not work. That will also affect your mind and it affects her body after she eats the ice cream or whatever dairy it is. And guys, we really need to look at and examine the things that are not working for us, but yet we continue to do them. It is only setting you back. Why continue to do it if it is only setting you back? So you really, really need to think about it. Think about it. What is currently setting me back right now? And let me just let you all, I know for a lot of you, you don't participate in the Genius Goals question, but I would just like to read it for you, the Genius Goals question for last week. So this is week 9. So ask yourself, what physical sensations tell you that you have drifted away from the present? So this is also something you could read throughout the week to get yourself back to where you need to be. Does distraction increase your mental fatigue? So you're asking yourself this as well. How often do you pause to notice your breathing during the day? I know for a lot of us, you're just doing it, you're totally unaware and you're totally disconnected from it. So you could also look at it and ask yourself, and can growth happen without awareness? And question 5, are you chasing outcomes or cultivating awareness? Because a lot of times we really not cultivating awareness. Sometimes you're trying to run something down that is very, very elusive. And then the last question, what would change in your life if you responded 5 seconds slower? So I know for Lisa and even for Anastasia, they could tell you that in doing these questions every week, it really assists in you delving deep within yourself and identifying certain patterns and really trying to create new patterns that could work better. But if you are not doing it, then you just continue. It will just be the same cycle repeated over and over and over again. And guys, please remember, you are only affecting you. You are not affecting anybody else. And I know for all of us, there is a lot of things that we would like to experience, especially this year. But if you are not there to create the environment for that thing to grow, then how would it even be possible? It really will not even be possible. So that is why it is really, really important that you create everything that you would like to enjoy. Remember, if your mind is going down a particular road, ask yourself, what would I like to enjoy in this moment? And focus on that instead. It's all about where your awareness lies. Is your awareness afraid of the future? Is your awareness still quarreling about the past? Or is your awareness present to receive the solutions that you would like to create the life that you would like to enjoy? Where is your awareness? So before I move on to let you all know what we have coming up for this week, does anyone have any questions? All right. So tonight we discuss fuel the mind, power the body. And tomorrow, of course, the week continues. Tuesday, the 10th of March, we have counseling and consultations from 10. Then from 6, we would be discussing mastering mental energy, where we would be looking at strengthening attention and reducing distraction, which is very, very important. After that, we have our fuel and flex full body workout sessions. Then on Wednesday, from 10 a.m., we have counseling and consultations again. And then from 6, we would be looking at reframing energy as productivity. Physical, mental, and emotional energy builds structure. On Thursday, from 10, we would have counseling and consultations again. Then from 6, we would be discussing inner tools for sustainable performance. And then from 7, we have our fuel and flex full body workout. And for this session, we would be doing an outdoors walk to the savannah. I think it is a savannah close to where we are. And we would be doing some laps around the savannah, and then we would be coming back. And then on Friday, we have counseling and consultations. And then from 3 p.m., we have Free to Be, which is by appointment only, where we celebrate, relax, restore, and unwind. And then on Saturday, we have our Fun Rise and Ride, which is at Shagaramas. So that would be, let me let you all see what it is. So this is where it is. Fun Rise and Ride at Tucker Valley, Shagaramas. So for those of you who can participate and who are in Trinidad, please feel free. For those who are not, we would be in a country near you very soon, so do not worry. Then we also have our stress-free workshop at the end of the month at the Arboretum, Shagaramas. So for those who can participate, please feel free. And even Anastasia, if you could make it, this would be a really good opportunity to even help you with the clutter in your mind, so you can think about it. And then we have the confidence countdown, which is a workshop session for Form 4s and 5s, where they would be learning skills for exams and confidence for life. So you could build your mindset, boost your skills and confidence needed to handle exams and life beyond the classroom. Because this is something that a lot of teenagers struggle with. So if you know of anyone who is, struggling a bit, you could let them know and they could reach out to us. And the topics include mastering your mind and time from classroom to career, and then shine on paper and in person. So they would be getting a lot of, interview tips and resume writing tips. So if you know of anyone who may be interested, please feel free to let them reach out to us. So guys, when you get up in the morning, ask yourself, where is my awareness today? When my awareness is on the past, what am I building? Really, really ask yourself the questions and be more intentional about how you spend your time. Because we used to get so much more things done when we didn't have social media. I was thinking about that. I used to be asleep by 9 o'clock. Sometimes you lie down by 9 o'clock and you go to sleep by 1 o'clock. And you could imagine if you had set clear intentions for that time, how much other things you would get done. But we are easily distracted. So it is really, really important to be mindful about what you're building and what effort are you putting towards what you want to build for yourself. So guys, have a wonderful, wonderful night. See some of you tomorrow. See some of you next week, Monday. But please have a mindful week this week and ensure that your awareness is present and it is not past and it is not in the future. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you very much. Good night.
Bye bye.